At dawn, look to the east.
What?
Hi everyone, I'm Sandrine, this is Americ.
Hello.
Welcome to a new Game of Thrones review. This week's episode was called Battle of the Bastards.
Let's talk about it.
Starting with not the Battle of the Bastards and Mereen. Did not expect to see Mereen.
I had read a few articles where people were theorizing that it would not be full-on just the Battle of the Bastards. It would be Battle of the Bastards with something else.
I mean, technically it was another battle.
Yeah, it was another battle.
We start with the best line from Tyrion. Despite appearances, the city is on the rise.
I feel like it's the best version of let me explain.
Let me explain, exactly. Wait, I feel like you came at the really wrong. This is not what it looks like.
Yeah, I did like Dany's response and reaction.
Yeah, I feel like
because
I think that's kind of what I expected her to do.
What did she think? If anything, it's okay. It could have been far worse. The city could have been completely lost, and all of her subjects could have been killed.
I mean, Tyrion did what he could do with what he had, and she's like, okay, cool. But now I'm back, so let's get this shit back together.
Yeah, and I think when her version of "let's get this shit back together" was a little bit more extreme.
Burn him to the ground.
But Tyrion was like, let's try something else. The whole Masters sort of revolting worked out in her favor because she got their armada, and all she had to do was just destroy one ship, kill 2 Masters, and there you go. She has the equivalent of a nuclear bomb in that universe, right? In the Game of Thrones universe, having dragons is the equivalent of having a nuclear bomb. Because you don't even have to destroy everything. You just have to do one thing and everybody falls in line because it's that powerful. So you imagine her going and then arriving in King's Landing. No one stands a chance. There's not a sitting army today that can take her on.
And we got dragons.
Dragon action
Dragon
was
which I'm like, yes. And as I kept asking, where are the 2 other dragons? Well, you know what? They were still in the pyramid. They hadn't really, they just kind of...
They didn't explain it.
Yeah, they unchained them, but I guess they just kind of waited there until Drogon came back and they're like, hey, Big Bro's back. Let's get out.
And you can see the size difference. It's pretty stark. But it's also an indication of those other 2 dragons stepping up and growing as well. I mean, all they needed a few horses and then we're good to go.
No. I think Drogon is not done growing. And I think the other 2 probably won't ever catch up to him, but they will grow some more, I think.
We are moving on to Yara and Theon.
They finally made it to Mereen.
I know.
As we had been waiting for them to do. So freaking excited. We finally got the meeting.
It went really well.
It went really well.
It went really well.
Which I kind of expected it to go well. I mean, I think that the fact that it was Yara definitely, played in their favor. Chances are she probably would have been okay with Theon, but I think, the fact that Theon is like, oh, it's not for me. I mean, I know technically it should be me, but I think my sister is a better ruler than I would be. And I think Daenerys is like, really? I like that. I like that it's, as a woman, I like that another woman would try to be in power and that her brother is supporting her because her brother did not support her.
There was actually a lot of honesty in that scene, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was being honest with each other. Yara and Theon were laying it out. They weren't pretending that Euron didn't exist or something like that. They were saying these are the facts. This is what's happening. This is what he's proposing. This is what we're proposing. They weren't hiding anything. They were saying this is what we're bringing to the table. Them sort of shaking their hand, which Danny was a little bit, what is this? What is this? I'm the queen! I'm Khaleesi! I don't do this. I feel like she was a little bit weirded out, but it really showed that Danny was, increasing her power, but doing it in a way that was fair. One of my favorite scenes of the episode, for sure.
Now let's move on to the North, Winterfell. But before we jump into the battle, there are 2 moments that I think we wanted to talk about. First, with Davos finding the stag he had given to Shireen, which I had been waiting since last season at the end of the episode. I'm like, when is he going to find out what really happened to Shireen?
Yeah.
So we didn't get too much from that, but I like that they set that up in this episode.
They definitely set it up in the episode, and I think he understood what was happening. And when we saw the shot at the end when they had taken Winterfell, where he's looking at Melisandre and holding the stag, He knows.
I think he has questions because I think he had asked her before. At the end of last season, he asked her, "What about Shireen? What happened?" And she doesn't answer because someone interrupts them. So he never really got a proper answer from her.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna want answers now. Speaking of Melisandre, I also found the scene between her and Jon really interesting because he's asking her to not bring him back, which fine. But I think her answer to that is also really interesting because when she was with Stannis, I think she really thought that she understood what the Lord of Light wanted from her.
She had a certainty in her approach.
Yeah. She said, I can interpret the signs. I mean, for sure this is what it means. And with everything that happened, she's kind of like, I mean, I still serve the Lord of Light and he still wants me for something. I'm just not really sure what this thing is. So I'm going to try to bring you back at least because fundamentally, if he doesn't want you back, I'm just not going to be able to bring you back.
For sure.
It's out of my hands. So I'm just a servant. I think you made the point that she's kind of like Thoros of Myr now.
For sure. Yeah, because he also has that uncertainty about him. He knows he can bring Beric Dondarrion back, but he doesn't know why. He doesn't know why he has this ability. What's the purpose? What's behind it? So there's an uncertainty about him, and I think there's an uncertainty about her. And in a way, I'm wondering if that's what it takes to be a true, follower of the Lord of the Light. Because when you have that certainty, you get punished. But when you have that openness and I don't know, I'm just here to do my job. I don't know. I don't work. I don't make the decisions. That's fundamentally what it is.
And now let's talk about the Battle of the Bastards, Snowbowl.
2016. First, there's a prep, right? There's a crescendo to this, right? There's the meetup between the Snows, right? Between Jon, Sansa, and Ramsay on the other hand, with the Umbers meeting up and discussing, And I gotta say, Ramsay, it's just you can always expect him to be the douche that he is.
Pretty much.
He was a douche. And I love that Jon was like, we can just duke it out, bro. Really? It's you and me. Mano a mano. Let's go. But no.
Ramsay is like, look, I'm pretty sure I can beat you with the army, but I'm not stupid. I'm not really sure I can beat you one-on-one, so let's not do that,
Yeah. I think it's interesting, Jon was trying to rattle sort of like the support that Ramsay had. Not Ramsay, so his support. Mm-hmm. Not sure that was quite kind of working.
I think if anything, Ramsay ended up rattling him in the end. Yeah. Quite a bit.
And Sansa warned him. Sansa warned Jon and said, you don't know who you're dealing with. And we had talked about the fact that Jon was a little bit cocky because he thought, I took on White Walkers. And by the way, bro, you did not win that one. Just putting it out there. And he thought, it can't be worse than a White Walker. It's like, no, you don't understand.
It's different.
It's very, very different, right? It's a different mindset. Because White Walkers, they're pretty straightforward. There's like advance kill.
Bring right for that.
Advance kill. Exactly. Whereas Ramsay, bringing Rickon in the middle of the field. Do you like to play games, little man? That was in the trailer. Remember that? Having him run and shooting arrows. That was the end of Rickon. So sorry, Kenny. No Trickon.
That didn't happen.
But White Walkers wouldn't have done that. Ramsay did that because Ramsay.
White Walker would just kill them. Interesting that Sansa. She knew. I mean, this is how much she knew Ramsay. That she knew that Rickon, there was just no hope for Rickon. And at that point, she's like, he's already dead.
It's just how he's going to die is a question.
She's just like, we can't save him. She's like, you don't know Ramsay. And I think that even though Jon is like, yeah. When Rickon dies, I think he realizes what Sansa was saying.
Yeah.
I don't think he really understood what she meant by, no, you don't understand. So let's talk about the actual battle. Now that we've set up, they're face to face. Jon has been, tricked in a way by Ramsay, all alone in the field, his brother, dad, and all the riders from the Bolton sides are coming towards him, and he's like, shit, ready to fight?
You shall not pass!
And then his people arrive just in the nick of time, thanks to Davos, who sent them ahead. He's like, oh shit, just go.
Go. This is not a drill. And it's like this Yeah.
massive explosion of battle.
The battle was so well
Amazing.
made. Amazing
First
battle.
of all, you get the scene where we see, well, just the clash of the two sides with Jon in the middle on the ground, and you see, the horses arrive, and then you follow him on his level. The camera is at his level, so you get, the horses that seem kind of high.
And it feels uncut, right? Like, I know they probably did some editing magic there, but it feels uncut where you're just following him fighting, horses coming around, killing, I'm like...
It really feels like you're in it, and it's this ongoing, unending...
It's a wave, exactly.
You can't rest. You can't be like, whew, okay, I'm tired. Oh, shit, there's more, there's more.
No cover.
No.
There's no cover. It's just coming at you. Yeah. And it felt endless. It felt overwhelming, and that was like... That was a fight.
It was really
That
amazing.
was a real, legit fight, and they were surrounded at some point with piles of bodies on one side.
Bodies, I think, is the first time I see that.
The horror of the battle was really exemplified in that moment, where the Ramsay's army is surrounding them, and they have the pile of body on one side, and then they're just being crushed.
You have Jon Snow suffocating under his own people who are just trying to get away, and he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, and it's just... You're suffocating with him. Holy crap,
you're starting to
terrible.
feel him losing his breath, and you're like, they're not killing Jon Snow again. This is ridiculous. And then he emerges out, and you're like, oh my god, but he's still not out of the woods. And then
you look to the east.
The Vale, the Knights of the Vale.
Littlefinger saves the day, as we all expected.
Yeah, and we were all expecting that moment to happen.
Actually, when this whole thing happened, the suffocating, I'm like, where's Littlefinger? Where's Littlefinger?
Yeah, and then he heard you because he came. I expected it, and I thought I was gonna be so disappointed, but it was kind of awesome.
It was still kind of
cool. It was so awesome. I'm like not lying. I was like, I knew it was happening, but it was still awesome to see it happen because they came and they crushed, and then retreating into Winterfell with the final battle happening.
Yeah, so they got Winterfell back. The Starks are back home.
Yeah.
For real.
They are truly back home. But man, Jon, did you see? I've never seen Jon like that. That face he had at the end where he was just like gone. He was like, I'm gonna murder you. He was like, I've seen him fight, I've seen him be determined, but never seen that like loss of like humanity in his eyes.
I mean, the guy killed his brother in front of him. I mean, if there's one thing that's gonna put you over the edge, that must be it.
Yeah, so it was interesting that he actually managed to show restraint. You know?
I think it's because it was Sansa.
Yeah.
Like, he looked at her and he's like, I think it's yours to do with what you want.
And boy.
Let's talk about Ramsay's death.
Yeah.
Finally. Dead. How poetic that he's killed by his own dogs.
Exactly. Because fundamentally, Ramsay's power was exemplified in his dogs, right? He used his dogs because he could control them and he can use them to kill other people, and he would just use it as a sort of like a something that he would wield his power through. Sansa actually used his power against him and basically took over his particular strength the way she was taken over by him. And I feel like it was like a reversal of situation where now he actually felt real fear, where he's like, no, not them. No, he would have been fine if they stabbed him or killed him or whatever, but having his dogs kill him, that was it. That really did the trick.
And then she walks away like a boss and just has that little smirk where you're like...
Yeah, 1-1.
Oh.
Rest in peace.
1-1. I know you said he was gonna die.
But
Tormund is still alive.
Trian
is alive. I'll just go with Trian.
Trian is still alive.
And Davos is still alive,
so,
which I thought he would still be alive. And now that leaves a question, I think, of who's in charge of Winterfell, because technically Sansa is the Wardeness of the North, which ironically is what Littlefinger promised her that she would become. Mm-hmm. Probably not the way she wanted to become the Wardeness of the North, but fact is, she is. Because Jon Snow's still a bastard, Rhaegon's dead, Bran, who would probably have the claim above her because he's a man, is gone, and I don't think that's really in his future to...
and I don't think anyone is like looking for him at this particular stage, right? So I do think it's gonna be her. right? Be wardness of the North. The only question is, how are they gonna share and wield the power, right? I don't think he's really interested in running it.
I don't think so either.
But he definitely wants to be next to her. So my theory is that basically the North is going to be its own kingdom now, and then they're going to basically and Jon is going to be the hand of the king or the queen in this particular case. So I'm really curious at this stage to see what are their next steps, right? Because if you think about it, they have a very awkward situation. They do still have King's Landing, the Lannisters, all these, the Freys, all of them still not their fans. Still, yeah. How are they going to deal with those particular enemies?
What about the Umbers and the Karstark?
Exactly.
Who are like,
how are they going to deal with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think they were all wiped out, too.
No, I mean, they're not all soldiers. So.
For sure. So how are they going to deal with the people who betrayed them? The North remembers.
So they're going to have a lot to deal with.
Yeah. Now it's time to run things. And actually running things is sometimes more difficult than fighting things. What do you guys think? What do you think are going to be the next steps for them? Comment below, let us know. We'd love to hear your theories on this. Overall, I'm a huge fan of this episode. I thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed the fact that they actually added the Mereen storyline in as well. And I love the way it was very much well shot, well executed, well acted. Yes, it was a little bit too straightforward. I would have hoped for more surprises, but you know what? I love what I got.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, dragons. Doing dragons! And Ramsay then. I mean, it's great. It's all great.
It's all good.
I'm fine.
Good episode.
I mean, I was missing Ghost. And where's Ghost? I just need some Ghost, but you know.
Where was Ghost?
Where is Ghost? I don't know. We're gonna share some more thoughts and theories about what's coming in the finale in our breakdown for the trailer for next week's episode. And also, if you want to talk more about this episode, we're gonna have a live discussion with Kenny on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central European time.
Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our Game of Thrones videos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.
We also need to give a credit that we forgot to give in our last review to, let me see if I can say this right, Srinivas P168, who I think is one of the person that had written about the High Sparrow being the Lord of Castamere theory, so...
So thank you, Srinivas.
Yes.
Thank you a lot.
I hope we said your name right.